There we go. I think we made it. Had to do a restart, so sorry we're a few minutes late this evening. Yeah, I hope everyone's having a good evening. We're going to be doing some ink wash, which is kind of what you see on the little announcement doodle I did on my lunch break today. I just did this real quick. Around Christmas time, I got myself a nice. Oops, that's the wrong thing. I can't see the chat. There we go. Hello, everyone. Um, got myself a couple of these nice little squeeze brushes. These are some of the nicer ones. And I filled them with ink wash. And how I do that is hey, Jonathan, good to see you. Um, I open them up, I fill the reservoir with water, and then I measure the amount of ink I put into them. And I made a darker tone and a lighter tone. This has about 5 drops, the lighter one, and the dark has about 10 drops of ink. And that's it. Then you have two little ink wash brushes. And I was able to do um, just this little doodle on my lunch break. I just did a real quick pencil and then just as fast as I could because I only had a half hour with the marker, pens, and then just an ink brush to do the live drawing and the writing and stuff, and then threw this down and we'll do some ink wash today. We're going to do some drawing. It's the last week of the Kickstarter, it's the last few days. We just unlocked another stretch goal, so everyone will be getting a small bit of the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean sent to them via a print that'll be remarked with ocean water from both oceans. So I'm very excited about that one. Conceptually, that was one of my favorite stretch goals. I know people didn't understand the gist of it, but this way, when you're reading about these sea creatures, you can have a tiny little piece of their home with you as you read it. This was the watercolor piece that I posted the other day. See, the colors didn't come out as well on the photo. You can see like the blues and the purples are much richer and cooler, and the yellow has got some pop to it. So that's kind of the way I was going. But yeah, I had fun. I'm thinking about sending this one in to get slabbed as art. I don't know. This is going to be the first thing that we ink wash. This is just a little sketch I did that I was going to put in my for sale binder for future shows. And it's all done with the trick to doing ink wash on top of a line art drawing is making sure that you use bleed proof either ink or pens. Pit pens, which are the Faber-Castell ones, are made with pigment and then they are bleed proof. So if you have those little lines, as are the Kuretake pens that I like to use, the pocket brush. And then of course just India ink, which is what I use in the fancy brush pen. That's what most of this is, and that's it's not going to bleed on you. But yeah, so $7,500 we crossed that stretch goal, which is crazy. I'm humbled. I'm grateful, and I'm looking forward to doing the post Kickstarter stream so that I can share some of the things I learned with people. Because I honestly there was so much stuff that I did not expect to happen that happened. There were things that I wish I knew going in, and I had done Kickstarters before. Certainly not on my own, but I had done them. Just priming the ink brush here with some of our ink wash. And on this, you can see based on this drop shadow that our light source is up here. So we want to leave the most light. And we're just having fun tonight. I hope everyone had a really nice holiday, regardless of which holiday you celebrate. I got to spend it with my wife and my mother-in-law, which was nice. I've been watching a whole bunch of people with crazy art collection post their top 10 pieces of the year in these Facebook groups. I don't know if anybody else follows these groups, um, but there was just some beautiful artwork getting posted. It was so neat to see. I was only a little jealous, but I think wash you just kind of you're shaping out how the light is affecting surfaces. It's a good time to use photo reference if you don't have a ton of experience, or even if you do. One thing I've been experimenting with lately is just working more with like a deadline again, and ink wash, and it's largely been inspired by the Christmas present I got. I showed it off with a photo, and I'll show you folks here. It's an original strip from Buck Rogers, drawn by the great Gray Morrow. You can see up close the use of zipatone, like this one here. This is actually a zipatone that's a white dot on top of cross hatching. Then this is your classic zipatone here, the dots there. Um, this balloon, this text box here is pasted on. And then here, there's like some white medium on top of like your classic zipatone. So it was really cool to see that. Get to look at it up close. I love it, Jonathan. And it's funny. I was thinking about this as I was looking at it yesterday, is that I actually own two pieces of Buck Rogers artwork, and I'm not a big Buck Rogers guy. I always liked Flash Gordon more. Um, but Buck Rogers just is not a highly sought after title. So I've actually collected a couple of pieces of it just based on the artist. I actually have a Howard Chaykin page from when he did Buck Rogers for, oh, what was that little company? Hermes Press, which I think the company was run by someone like someone else in publishing's relative or something. Like there was multiple layers to why they had the rights. 'Cause, Buck Rogers, people have heard of it. They've done movies. They've done a TV show not that long ago. They did the TV show in the 70s. Gil Gerard, who we've seen at 10 million comic book shows over the years. I've ridden in many a shuttles to and from the airports from with Mr. Gerard. It's funny, sometimes I can actually hear radio broadcasts in my headphones when it's not hooked up to the radio. One of the things I love about ink wash is it's a very forgiving medium, um, especially if you use any sort of a process where you are measuring your amounts of ink going into things, and you're using the same type of ink and wash and the same temperature of water and same type of ink, you can just keep mixing more and more of it over the years. And as it dries, it becomes a little bit more uniform, which I think is pretty nifty. Jonathan, did you have a good holiday? I know I saw your photos from the giant your traditional holiday baking. I would ask if you had New Year's plans, but I think most of us do not at this point at the stage of the game. I don't like drawing my Superman with too much muscle. I think understatement really helps drawings of Superman. That was something that I thought that Gary Frank really did well in his Action Comics run. If you haven't read that one, I think it's one of Jeff Johns' better writing jobs. I'm not the biggest Johns guy, but I thought that was, and I don't really like the Legion, so that should tell you, like, not the biggest Johns guy, and I don't really like the Legion, and that's what the story centered around, and it was his story, so I thought it was a really good story, and the artwork was terrific. And then actually, the director of the original Superman, Richard Donner, wrote an arc of Superman that was drawn by, it was he and Jeff Johns together, and it was drawn by Adam Kubert after that run, which was interesting. Jonathan says it was a good, quiet, spent it with his brother-in-law. It's nice. I didn't get to see my brother this year at Christmas, but he was visiting my parents, so I was glad one of us was able to get there. Just give it a squeeze, and it starts the flow of water and ink. And this is our darker tone. Yeah, if I ever got another shot to do anything DC, I would say that as much as I love Aquaman, if I could do have a published Superman, that would probably be the pick for me if I had a pick of the two. I mean, obviously, if I had any character, I would pick something like Angel and the Ape or something super obscure, but a lot of my friends have gotten to draw Superman in one form or another, and he is the originator of the whole superhero genre. So Yeah, these little squeeze brushes are a lot of fun, and they're pretty inexpensive. I got these for about $10. You know, it's funny, it just bleeped out, but just a tiny bit of the darker. It's a little too much right there. Here and there, just to anchor it a little bit. It sort of unifies, you know, trying to bring the focus up and in on the face via the lighting. It's one of my tricks is if it starts to pool up, I'll just wish it with my finger a little bit real quick before it sets. But yeah, there's just a quick little ink wash sketch where I did the sketch, came back in, did a little wash, little bit here and there, and it's got some interesting qualities to it, you know. I'll show you a couple other sketches I did. You know, just little sketches of studies with the ink wash, just playing around with like more of a dead line, using just a marker pen, and then going back in with the ink wash. It's fun. I really enjoy it. I have to find ways to come up with final products that I'm happy with that come out quicker than, you know, some of my laborious intent, you know, long-term projects. As much as, you know, they're rewarding, like honestly, I just have so many things I want to do and I'm not getting any younger. So, but yeah, let's just have some fun. This is just a scrap piece of Bristol. And let's just try to turn it into just some fun sketches. You know me, I like to draw faces. You know, that's like one of my things that I do every day. I always try to add a little character to it. Try to have like, even if it's just a quick study, you know, we're trying to do it in perspective. I've been trying to focus on, you know, making sure my cheekbones are grounded because I think that that really gives a dynamic structure to the face. This is a nice piece of Bristol. I didn't realize this scrap was a nice piece. Got blurry. See if bringing the light a little closer helps. I'd swear, like I have a million lights on and you'd never know it based on what it looks like on camera. I had ambitions of coloring digitally on the stream because I'm still coloring that John Lucas cover, but like I don't think my computer could have handled live streaming and my Wacom attached to it at the same time. I just have a laptop, and it has a hard enough time doing one of those things at a time. Really been working on cheekbones. That's kind of been my area of study as of late. Was doing shoulder sockets for a couple of months. Now I've kind of moved on to cheekbones. I don't really have a ton to talk about at the moment. I mean, the Kickstarter's just been going so well. Other things that happened at Christmas, we made fish on Christmas Eve. Um, that was nice. We got it from the local market. It was exquisite. Then my wife made her uh, homemade pasta with meatballs for Christmas dinner. We had some people with some specific diet restrictions, so we had to like make breadcrumbs from scratch and stuff. So there was no salt in it, and all kinds of other little things to try to accommodate everyone. Everything still tasted great. So one of the things I found for me when I'm drawing that is important for me is that I have to have room to be defining things in most of the steps of the process. Like if I have any point where I feel like I'm just tracing something, I kind of lose interest. So it's one of the reasons why I leave things so open and incomplete when I come in with my inking because I'm drawing. Right now, I'm still making those creative decisions as I go along. Each step, each line is a decision, and there's intent behind it. The fish we had was actually local yellowtail flounder, um, which is in season and it was fresh caught. I happen to really like flounder, and it was relatively inexpensive for how good it was. I would say that it had some of the. If you like whitefish, it was about as good as it gets. I know people are all like crazy for things like swordfish and tuna, but I happen to like whitefish, and it's one of my favorites. Flounder is great. I think it's a delicious fish. Michael's here. How's Mike doing? You're always working on something. You're always busy. Prolific artist. As always, feel free to post any links to any projects you have going on, anything, any new artwork. All are welcome to promote. All my friends are welcome to promote. There we go. There's just a character's face. One of the descriptors of Howard Chaykin's work that I always liked is that his characters had seen some stuff. And I endeavor to put that type of depth into my own characters. Michael says he's having his newly finished line work and text for his new comic book looked over by some folks. It's always a good idea. I always have my friends help me out with my editorial passes on stuff. Just because I miss things, you know, especially if there are people who I think are really good writers and are willing to give me the time. I feel pretty confident about my um, visual storytelling, but I like having someone who's a good writer and good structural writer really give it a once over, and give me some feedback. You know, especially because I work from you know a pretty tight outline when I get started. That part didn't dry yet. That's okay. These are just sketches. Get our little squeeze brush going. We'll see if we can pull that stuff back in. Let's put like a nice. Lighter hair on this character so we can just kind of go easy with some of the lighting there. I was talking to someone today who just started doing artwork for fun, and has been making some stuff at like a local craft type place. and they were saying things like, "Oh, I don't really feel like an artist or anything," and it was, I don't know. I tend to welcome everybody into that and into being an artist because I think as long as you approach something and your intent is true and you make an effort to be creative, I think you're an artist. I mean, I don't think that there's any exclusivity, any reason for people to not just join the tradition. So I welcome anyone who endeavors to do work into our little world. And it is small. Not a lot of people even try to do artwork, so we could always use more. I'm just doing two-tone ink wash. I'm not really getting super fancy with it. This is my darker tone, as you can see. Just having fun. Just trying to shape everything that's here. Actually, I think we have to go back into here. Just darken that in. It's interesting. I can see some of my little variations when I look up at the screen, and I can see little things that need to be edited just because I'm seeing it through different eyes. It's like when you flip it upside down, fun little tricks like that that you learn from experience. And that it doesn't have to follow the edges. It doesn't. Like you can go in and shadows tend to dance around those little like spots and divots and stuff. They don't really line up. They're not as cut and dry as you would see in some comic books. They have like these hard edges that don't really, in my opinion, um, convey the volume that they think they are. You have to make those creative decisions, but there is some there is some gray area as we're ink washing here. There we go. And we'll do another one. Stick with the blue. I've been having fun with that. Let's do a different shape face. Let's do like a tall face. Maybe a pointier nose, like a pointy nose. Yeah, let's do that. That would be fun. Noses, there's just a million different shapes. Like you can have like a big round nose. Hey, Jay Kennedy's in the house. Artist of the recent Sabrina holiday special variant cover. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty awesome. Jay, feel free to post it, if you like. Jay and I get to hang out at Alternate Universe. He was signing a bunch of them. Chad asked with the, I'll spotlight that question there. With the success of your first Kickstarter, how likely are you to do another? I will definitely do another one, but it'll probably be, same time ish next year if everything goes well. I've got to deliver the first one. I've got to make sure everyone gets all their stuff. And, I don't want to jump the gun as far as like, oh, let's do, 10,000 Kickstarters a year. No, if people would like to read one book a year from me, I would love that. I know that doesn't sound like a ton of books, but it's like a triple size book. So like if that could be my formula for every year, basically putting out a 3-issue miniseries all at once, that's what I would love to do that. a little bit of a Cyrano de Bergerac going on here. And we're going to finish probably, the delivery date for everything on the Kickstarter is in August, and that's a lot of work for me till then. I've got a lot of book to finish still, and I'm going to be working on it on this stream here. So you're going to be watching and seeing this book come together as I work on it. And, I thought that would be a good way. So if people wanted to interact and ask questions about the Kickstarter, how things are going, that they can do it every Wednesday here. You know, instead of sending me an email, just pop in and throw up your question. I got nothing to hide. So when it comes to the Kickstarter, at least. Let's get this guy like some spongy looking hair, just different looking hair, kind of wavy. This is a drawing of Jay at Yakko's dinner. Not quite, not quite. It was nice. We went out to dinner after the signing. We had dinner with Eric, the fellows from CBCS, and Eric's the owner of Alternate Universe. If you don't know, he's on Facebook. His name's Eric Yakko. Tons of back issues at that store. I had to stop looking in the bins, otherwise I was going to spend any of the money I made there. Jay says his quesadillas were okay. Well, that's good. Thanks again for being the wheelman for another adventure. For those that don't know, Jay is actually a very good driver. No idea when the next event or anything will be. One of the things that will transpire after the Kickstarter is I will be closing any external commission requests. If anyone would like to get on a wait list or anything, but I will not be putting any active drawings into my queue. Um, because I've got so much work to do from the Kickstarter. Like people ordered original artwork through that, and they get first crack. Um, I'll still offer sketches while I'm at any sort of event while that's going on, but it will not be. There will be no from home commissions being offered for collectors or whatever. If a cover came up, I don't really have the status to turn down a cover, but I won't be doing um, any other work outside of the Kickstarter work, really, and the graphic design stuff that pays my bills, and whatever we do on the stream. That'll be pretty much my work going forward for a while. I don't really like when I'm just goofing off or having fun or doing studies like this. I don't really work on drawings of like characters people have heard of. It's not really what I do. Haven't drawn a lady yet, so I'll draw a lady. Or like I said, working on those cheekbones. That's been my thing lately. Just letting this dry while we wait to do the ink wash on it. Still working on good fundamentals, making sure that things line up like they should and that they're mostly in perspective. As you can see right now, I'm just kind of chunking it out. I know the ratios of things in my head. Just kind of getting a feeling for where the character is. Just give her like a big earring. I'm telling you, that's my face when I ordered a side salad that never came, says Jay Kennedy. Got quite a few folks in the stream tonight, so hello to anybody that just popped in. We're just doing some ink wash and having some fun. Yeah, we did this one a little earlier. There's some other sketches from different points that I had done. There's that watercolor that we did. And Undersea Hero did reach another stretch goal. So, like I said earlier, everyone will be getting a print that has a little bit of the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean painted onto it. So, I haven't designed it yet. I'm hoping to come up with something good for the theme. Like I want like the point where the two oceans meet or something. Let's see if this is dry enough for us to erase. Yep, there we go. Now we take our squeeze brushes. Jay, you've used these before, the water brushes. They're nice, aren't they? Going with more of a neutral light with this one. I'm just seeing how it comes out. Spending more time defining the overall shapes. I think I'm gonna go with a darker hair color for this person. Just adding a couple of tones, you can see that like it creates an effective image just with two tones. I'm using two tones. So I really have four colors here. The colors are white, black, and then my two midtones. And what it also does is it forces me to make decisions and it forces me to be economical and thoughtful about my limited color palette and what I can do with it and what I want to achieve with it and how I differentiate different textures, different sections, how I move off from the basic uh, composition. And for fun, what we can do, what I like to do when I have, something like this start to come together is I will start to connect the pieces to one another. Just for fun, and because I'm not going to be able to draw something between the two. I can definitely put something behind this one, but let's just define a little bit more of the lighting. Come in with some nice organic qualities. You can see it start to come together. And it's not a piece, they're definitely just studies, but you can see how there's a pleasing aesthetic to the pieces coming together. And when it dries, as you can see, if you come back in, like it dries pretty consistent between the tones. This is also, just something that I do when if I have 20 minutes and I'm sitting around and I have just a pad with me, these are the types of studies I do where I'll draw, hands or I'll draw hair or I'll work on, this is studying. This is trying to be more prepared for when an opportunity comes up or when I'm looking to do, a finished piece of art. I just have more tools in the drawer, as they say. See, partly under this, the eye sockets are going to be a little bit like this. And I have to talk myself through it sometimes. Hey Dennis, how are you? I'm doing well. We crossed another stretch goal today for the Kickstarter, so that's exciting. Everyone will be getting a little bit of the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean into their homes in the form of the remarked print. So when they're reading their Undersea Hero, they can have a little piece of, you know, the homes where the sea creatures are from. Thank you. How are you doing, Dennis? What's new? Did you have a good holiday? Got any big New Year's plans? Everybody here whooping it up, doing like a first night type of thing. Think about as far as I'll make it as if my corner pub has like a, just a New Year's shindig. I think that's about as far as I would go these days. Just pull over my chair because my back hurts. Ugh. There we go. Dennis said he had a great Christmas. How was my holiday? My holiday was good. I spent it with my wife and my mother-in-law, and we stayed in. We cooked some food. We shared some presents, and yeah, I got to go for a run because we had Christmas at home this year, so I was able to like go for a run and get a workout in because it was so warm out. It's kind of shaping the face a little bit better. My anatomy was a little off. Just trying to go back to, you can see where I've fixed where the eye sockets for the skull are. There's where the cheekbones are. There we go. Starting to look a little more human. It was nice, a lot of the times, and I don't know if it's the same for everyone. I'll have to travel, go to multiple places over Christmas, and to be honest, by the time I gotta get back to work after Christmas, I'm just exhausted. Like I'm really tired. Um, and this year, I just had to say I couldn't do it. Like I just could not. Love y'all, mean it, but with everything that's gone on since July, like my entire, moving, new job, all kinds of other stuff that I don't even want to go into. I just needed a weekend, and we had just had the prior weekend on the road doing the signings at the two stores. So, I had just worked basically 2 weeks straight without a break. So it gets nutty, man. Yeah. With some swoopy dark hair. It's always fun to draw swoopy hair. That's where it's like straight for a little bit, and then it's got like round parts at the end, like where they use the curling iron to twist it. A little bit of volume on top. Hey man, good luck with the voiceover if that's what you're working on tonight. The voice acting. Our Hollywood big shots here. Happy New Year, Dennis. Thank you. Yeah, I'm here every Wednesday, so anytime. Barring me, getting hit by a car or something. So far this stint of, the live streams, I've been doing okay. Last time if you guys remember, I just got burnt out. It was new to me, and there was all the stress of the world at that time. But yeah, things have been going fine. From that standpoint. I did watch the best version of the Christmas Carol that there is, the Muppet Christmas Carol, on Christmas Day. That was big to-doings in the house. They had it for free on Hulu. People have not seen it. It is the best version of A Christmas Carol that there is. I did watch A Christmas Story. That was another one. I'm a fan of that film. Some people hate it, but I've always enjoyed it. If you've ever lived in the Midwest, it has an air to it that is appealing. Statler and Waldorf as Jacob Marley, yes. I mean, I love Gonzo as Charles Dickens. That's one of the greatest casting choices ever. It's not the guy who voices Gonzo as Charles Dickens. It's Gonzo as Charles Dickens. That's as it should be. Taking on those meaty, dramatic roles, the great Gonzo. I believe the opening credits actually do say the great Gonzo as Charles Dickens, so the reverence there, the reverence. I await his turn as King Lear. The great Gonzo as King Lear, I'm sure will redefine what it means to be a thespian. Oh yeah, the gag where, spoiler, it was from the 90s. So there's a scene where Rizzo has to jump from a fence in order to get into Michael Caine plays Scrooge into Scrooge's house, and he says, God save my broken little body, and then like after he falls, he sees that he forgets his jelly beans, and he just crawls under the fence and grabs it. It's just a great visual little gag. I couldn't remember the name of Kermit's cousin that plays Tiny Tim. I had to look it up. It was Robin. I couldn't remember his. I saw those comic pickups you got. That's a great issue of Adam Warlock that you grabbed. Bronze Age Starlin goodness. Let's see if we can erase or if it'll smudge. So far, so good. See, it takes me all those underneath lines to come out with this result. You see how few lines there are at the end? But I need to think out where everything goes in order to get to this point. Some people can just go in like your Alex Toth geniuses and just draw this part. I wish I was good enough to do that, but I'm just not. I know how to get to this point, but I can't start at this point. She needs a little more hair in the back here. There we go. F pen. Like that. Jonathan says it was a good price and figured I should work on that run. Picked up a bunch way back when at the old Boston Comic Con in the basement in Back Bay. Even had picked up some doubles of Strange Tales issues before I needed to travel with my lists. Those Strange Tales ones got like crazy expensive when Guardians blew up or whatever. You used to be able to get any of them, even the first Gamora and stuff, for like $20 to $25. That was the old days. Then they just blew up and blew up and blew up. Oops. Oh, that was a mistake. We'll see if we can make it work. No more than $10. Nice for the old Strange Tales. Yeah, where that smudge was really messed me up. Oh well. That's why they're studies and not finished pieces. So we can keep making those kinds of mistakes. Keep moving forward, learn from them. Yeah, that was 15 years ago now. I mean, the old Boston Comic Con's been gone for a long time. And people have asked, I have not signed up for Wicked Comic Con after the last one, even though I know they're moving back to the old place. So I might just go, as an attendee and goof off. Because it was another situation where, they don't give me a free table. So I had to make a financial decision on the spot after having just been crushed that weekend. I'll flip this over and take a look at it. Yeah, I think we still need more hair in the back here. I think that's part of why it looks so flat. I think we got room for one more. Let's do one more. Let's do right here. Let's make a really angry looking person. Maybe he's gnashing his teeth. Maybe put some cartooning into it. Exaggerate it a little bit. Anytime I push the exaggeration a little bit, I feel better about the final piece because I'm not trying for any sort of realism. You can see once I get loosed up and I've finished a couple, I can move a little quicker and a little freer. I'm moving off camera, sorry. Once the Masterworks came out, you stopped looking for them, is what Jonathan said. So, there was a period of time where people really loved those Masterworks. I was working at a comic book store when they were coming out pretty regularly, the hardcover ones. The problem I had with them is I never liked the coloring. And I know that that's like nitpicky stuff. It was nice to get to read some expensive stuff, whether it was the DC Archive editions, which, people were buying those as they came out. Hey, thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for popping in and chatting. I will catch you later. Have a good night, man. Flare up that nostril. It's the big push for the end. Only a couple days left, and then I won't be bothering people as often about, any of this stuff. You can go back to completely forgetting I'm here. It's interesting when I think about my prior ink wash work and how people reacted to it. One of the things that I definitely took away from it was that, the ink wash adds more visual information for people to hold on to. Maybe not the finish, but the information that it carries for depth and stuff. And I think people tend to react to that more so than just the structural line drawings. I think artists tend to react to line drawings more than rendery drawings. But I think, general audiences, they like a little bit more information on the page. And it's one of the reasons I'm going back to doing some ink wash for maybe some just like little side pieces here and there. See, and this is the style of kinetic quick line art that I'm wondering if it can work as a visual storytelling basis. If there's enough information there for people to know what's going on in the images. Got a smudge. Looks like he's going to have a scar. That's what we'll turn it into. Your classic comic book scar. I know people want to see you draw like Superman or like, Batman or characters that people know, but this is what I do to make sure that I have my drawing fundamentals down, before I'm applying it to, something else. And, I'll also come up with background characters. I'll invent characters on the fly. And, I would love I know I could crank out a bunch of books if I could just figure out a more precise way to get this technique to work with the kinetic feel. I won't even use the darker one. I'll just use the one on this. If you move quickly and just let it rip, it gets a wonderful feel to it. You can't replicate it. You just can't, not without speed and experience. Well, it's 9:25. I think we'll call it a night. You guys have seen me do this before. I'll probably fill this whole sheet in the next few days. I'll put some down here. I'll put a person sitting over here. But this is how I practice. As you can see, there's another one. There's Superman. Here's Undersea Hero, which we are on the last week of the Kickstarter. It's the last few days, so I'm pretty sure everybody here has checked it out or heard me incessantly over and over again talking about it. So only a couple more days. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And I hope everyone has a lovely night. And I will see you guys next week. We'll do a recap. We'll work on something new. And I promise I'll work on something other than Undersea Hero. So good night, everybody.